Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Tejano Keyboard. Today, we're going to learn about harmony, and ultimately, this hopefully will guide you in the right direction, as in how to make those fat, jazzy chords that we hear a lot of the progressive Tejano guys playing these days, okay? First of all, we have to understand basic composition, okay? There is always a root note or a bass note, and then there's always a melody note, okay? So, for example, if we take the key of C, okay, and let's say in the bass we're gonna have a C, and then randomly, let's just say G is on top. That's a melody note. To get from here to here, we have to kind of fill in somewhere in here with stuff that sounds pretty, okay? So what I have here is a image of harmonic structure, okay? Basically what harmonics are, okay, it's they are subdivisions of a note, okay? So for example, if we have the key of C, you know, if we hit a C, okay? This diagram will show you that the first harmonic, when you cut this note in half, if it's vibrating at a certain frequency, you know what? Let's do the key of A, okay? Because A, we know, is 440, okay? So half of 440 would be, half of that fundamental note will cause two equal vibrating parts. So instead of 440, you have two 440s, which is 880. This is really getting into some crazy math, and I'm not really good at the math, but essentially the way that this works is that, according to this chart right here and this diagram, is that the second harmonic would be an octave up, so it'd be okay. The next one would be a perfect fifth above the octave, so here's the octave and a fifth, okay. Then the next harmonic would be 2 octaves. Excuse me. Okay. Then the next one's going to be major third. Okay. Next one's going to be 2 octaves plus a fifth. So where you have. Okay. Then the next one's going to be minor seventh. Okay. So that's how harmonic structure works. And then the last one is 3 octaves. Okay. And the key is C. That means it would be C, followed by another C, followed by G, another C, then E, another G, and B flat. And the last one is the octave. Okay, 3 octaves. So you can start to see that towards the top of the harmonic structures where we start getting the actual chords built, okay? Okay, now, why is this important to know? Well, because this structure allows you to build chords, okay? This is not the way that we will always build chords. We will build it based on voicing and how it fits along with the music, okay? But with that being said, the way most of us make chords is basically by stacking thirds, okay? And sometimes we stack those thirds in a minor or major form. So in the key is C, okay? We have a major third, okay? 1, 2, 3, right? And then we have a minor third, okay? Which is E to G. A major third would be that, right? Because in the key E would be 1, 2, 3. And that is not what we want. We want this, okay? So major third, minor third. Okay? And I mean thirds by 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, right? But this is a minor third. Okay, it's not 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this is pretty basic for some people. And then a lot of people get confused. Well, oh, you know, they're playing a 7th or a 9th or a 11th or 13th, and people are like, oh, I don't know how to play that. Well, it's really, really super simple. The way that you construct a chord is just by calling out the numbers of the scale. And as you know, once you get past 8, the octave, right? What comes after 8? 9, okay? So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, okay? So somebody says play a C major 13th, it would literally just be, okay? We'll get into the uses of other forms of that in just a second here, okay? Now, an easy way to start figuring out how to make major and minor chords and adding some color to them is to basically start off with a major chord, okay? Major triad. We call that a triad. Tri means 3, right? Like a tricycle, a triangle. 3-note chords, okay? Now, to make a minor, okay, we lower the third, okay, which is this one, right? This is 1, that's 5, this is 3, right? So we're going to lower the third a half step. That's minor, okay? Now, if you want to make the minor even smaller, okay, to make something small, another word that we could use is diminish, okay? To diminish something is to make it smaller, okay? So we've gone from here, a big chord, to small, to smaller, okay? So to go from a major chord, minor, you lower the third, diminish, you lower the fifth, okay? Now, if we wanted to add more color to this, okay, we could say that this is a C major 7th because we have the 7th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? Now, one of the other colors that we can use is a dominant 7th, which means that you have a flat 7, okay? Or a minor 7. It's not a minor 7th chord, but this is known as a minor 7th interval, okay? So C major 7th, major minor 7th, or dominant 7th, okay? A lot of people use this for the dominant chord, you know, hence the name dominant 7th, for your quote unquote segunda, right? So if you're an F, okay? Now here's the thing, you start off major, dominant, minor, diminished. Actually, this is half diminished, and then fully diminished, okay? Now let me explain again. Major, lower the 7th for dominant, lower the 3rd for minor 7th, okay? Lower the 5th for half diminished, okay? And then fully diminished, you lower the 7th one more time. So it's a double flatted 7th, okay? Now, if we were to extend outward off of a dominant chord, let's just say C dominant, okay? If we want to play a 9th, we add that, okay? 11th, 13th, okay? The 11th is kind of a weird sort of voice in the chord because really an 11th is the same as a 4th, and to play the chord like this, it sounds a little, I don't know, dissonant to my ears, but we'll get to how you can fit in the 11th a little later, okay? So let's just call that C 13th for now, okay? Now, there's other ways to change up your chord, okay, you can alter your 5 and your 9th interval, okay? So for example, let's just keep it to the 9th right now, and we'll add in the 13th later, okay? So if we're gonna do C 9th flat 5, okay? So you got a C 9th, and you're gonna lower the 5, okay? You can raise the 5, okay? So I'm just taking the 5th here and lowering it or raising it, okay? So if somebody says, hey, play C 9th, okay, flat 5, okay. Or they say raise 5, okay. Now the other altered note that you can change is the 9th, okay. So you can play a C 9th flat 9th, right? Which would bring the 9 down a half step, or a raise 9, flat 9, raise 9, regular 9, okay? Now that we've learned that, we can also start doing combinations of altered 5s and altered 9s, okay? So here's the 5. Let's say we want to do a flat 5, flat 9, okay? What if we want to do a raise 5, flat 9? That sounds kind of cool, right? That resolves kind of nicely to the key of F. So here's your dominant C with a raise 5, flat 9. Okay. What if we wanted to do a raise 5, raise 9? Okay. That sounds nice too. Okay. So once again, 1, 3, raise 5, dominant 7th, raise 9. Okay. You can extend outward too. Now here's something to take into consideration too, is that when you're playing in the key of C, for example, okay, you can alter those notes, but remember that a flat 5 is the same as a raise 13th. Okay, or sorry, a raise 11th, right? Because the 4 is the same as the 11th, okay? So if I were to say play a C raise 11, right? C, a dominant C raise 11, okay? That half step right there is the same, but it doesn't sound too bad. I would use that in the key of C, the key of F. Okay. So there's a raise 11th, right? But maybe if you want to alter it so there's not so much dissonance here, maybe you could do a raise 5. So now this interval is a whole step. Now it's not so dissonant like that. So, excuse me, this way. So anyways, you've got that, which is raise 5, your 7th, 9th, raise 11th. Okay. You can also do 13ths. Now, here's the thing with 13ths is that when you add a 13th, so for example, right there, well, let me reset myself back. So let's say we do a raise 11th and a 13th, right? Dominant raise 11th with a 13th, okay? If you flat a 13th, okay, that's really a raise 5, right? Because we have, here's the 5, right? The G. So a flat 13th is the same as a raise 5, right? Same note. Okay. And the 13th, if you raise it up, it's actually a flat 7th, right? The B flat that we were using down here. So I don't tend to alter the 13th so much, or even really the 11th. And the 11th, really the only time that I play it is if I want to use it in a raise 13th setting. Okay, so that's one way of coloring up some of your chords, is adding more notes and being able to alter them to the melody, and putting in, your own little flavor. Music's like a blank canvas, and you can make it what you want. So the last thing that I want to talk about in regards to chords is that you can apply this also to minor chords. Okay, so for example, if we're going to do A minor, right? And you want to add the seventh, right? Ninth, 11th, excuse me. That'd be major or raised 13th, but so yeah. We'll just keep it all the way up to the 11th for now, okay? So that's the same thing. You can do a flat 5, okay? You can do a raised 5, which sounds not so dissonant. There's different ways to alter all of these chords. You just have to kind of experiment with it and see what sounds good. But the other voicing that I want to talk about shortly before we leave is the fourth note voicing. Now, right now, what we've been using is stacked thirds. You know what I mean? You go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? You skip every other note, right? There's something called fourth note voicings where you're playing, instead of thirds, you're playing, okay, fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The way I like to think of these, as far as how to create them, is by doing starting from the top note of where you want to start. So let's take G for example, and then I do fourths down from there. So you hit the bass note down here. Okay, that's one of the voicings that I like to personally use instead of just playing. You know what I mean? You could play. That sounds a little bit nice, I think. Okay, so to do it for the minors, you basically start from the bottom. So if you were gonna do, like for example, D minor. Okay, now the difference is that you go fourth, 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 and at the top, once you get to your 4th 4 interval, at the top you do a minor third, or excuse me, major third. So you don't do a fourth. That's how you do a D minor right there. So sometimes in Tejano music you have your, your simple little, right? Your 3, 3.5, excuse me, 3, 2.5, 2, 5, C. Okay. So instead of doing that, you could probably start using, and then end with the 4th note voicing there. Okay. So fourth note voicings are nice too. I know this is a lot of information for one episode. If you guys have any more questions, hit me up. Give me a shot at my email, tejanokeyboard@gmail.com. Also, in regards to the thirds voicings, be sure to sometimes move those notes around. Just by moving a certain note somewhere, it might give it a different color. For example, switching octaves. If we hit this E up here, that's still a C major 7th, but we've moved things, a different inversion. If this G would play it here, or move the E back down. There's different ways to kind of move the notes around and still make it sound pretty. So we'll get into inversions at a later episode, but hopefully this is enough for you to soak in and something to practice. So thank you once again for joining me here on Tejano Keyboard.